Okay.
All
And
right, we're back.
yes.
So, we were going to talk about what you need to break the trauma bond.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to learn to let go of the empathy you feel for them. It has become toxic empathy, which you wanted to bring up that
Mm-hmm.
definition, where you ignore yourself in order to help fix
Mm-hmm.
them. You make excuses for their behavior.
Yeah, and so, oh no, here's another topic they put toxic in front of. So I wanted to explain it because I'd never heard that term before.
Right.
Like, how can empathy be toxic?
Mm-hmm.
Well, feeling empathy and providing someone with a safe space to feel vulnerable, that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you no longer allow space for your own thoughts and feelings to the point you give up knowing what you're feeling,
Yeah.
and what's going on inside of yourself, when you decide to not have boundaries or standards, that's when it becomes toxic.
Yeah.
It's all about, I will do everything I have to do
Any.
to make them feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And this does make me think of one person.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, I tell you. He cried in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay. I let men have their emotions. I've never been
Right.
that suck it up, be a man person.
Yeah.
And so, hugged him, I got you, whatever. Turned out he was a crier. He cried a lot. And then he confessed. Well, first of all, there was a situation, and I'm like, I can't help you in this situation.
Yeah.
First of all, I was going through a lot. I've got my whole family. You're a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
So you don't take priority over my kids.
Family. Yeah.
Right. And he got really mad at me.
Yep.
And he said, but you said you got me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that does not make me responsible for your emotions. I can't be responsible. It's not my job to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Well, then fast forward to the breakup, and he admitted that he cried on purpose to gauge how supportive I was or how I would be there for him. But it was a test, the
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was a new guy, and I didn't let myself fall in it. I didn't really like him that much anyway. But with the husbands and the long-term relationships, I attract people with traumatic pasts.
Yeah.
And I had a traumatic past, so I do empathize with you. And I have put myself in the position, oh no, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't matter. I'm not even thinking about that right now. What is important is making sure my person is okay.
Yeah.
No matter what I'm going through.
Yeah.
A heart attack, back surgery, like all the, in a 3-week span, heart attack, back surgery, left school, broke up,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff in a
Yeah.
3-week span.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was make sure he was okay.
Yeah. That's the distance that we will go
Right?
in that, in
And they eat that shit up and tell you you're not doing enough or you're not doing it right.
mm-hmm.
Like, and you agree with them.
Yeah.
I could be doing more. Oh, what could I do different? How can I
Yeah.
this or that?
Yeah.
But we convince ourselves they're right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and one of the things, I did have someone that told me all of those encouraging things. You're doing so much, or, you're really good at doing what you're doing. But it didn't hold water
mhm.
because of all of the negative things or the throwback in my face things that happened. So those things weren't credible.
Right.
Even if they did mean them at the time, they weren't credible.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to, butter me up or whatever you want to do.
Because you want me to do something
Give me
else
that
for you.
hit of dopamine. Yeah, and then, yeah. So, okay.
Okay. So what you need is to not have toxic empathy.
Yes.
Okay. You need to strengthen your logical brain.
Mm-hmm.
These relationships are logic versus emotion. When emotion is heightened, logic takes a back seat.
Yeah.
That is that's a truth. That's a physiological truth.
Yeah.
When your limbic system, your emotional brain, that's why they tell you don't make any important decisions while you're upset. Because logic, gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So we need to strengthen our logical brain.
Yeah.
And not make any decisions when we're in a heightened state of emotion.
Yeah.
Because they get us with the emotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we let that run us sometimes.
Yeah, because, well, in an instance, and I don't know if this exactly, well, it doesn't really quite fit in, but it's kind of along that, when your emotions take over, logic goes out the window, because you make me upset about something, and then you make it to the point where I'm apologizing, and then doing things just so you're not going to be mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of being like, really? I wouldn't, like the logic part coming over, that boundary, nope, that's not allowed. You can't do that.
Right. This is an extremely important step, because until you learn to do that, you're going to find yourself in another relationship like that.
Yeah.
Because I've always wondered, why do I always attract the same type of person?
Yeah.
Well, if you really think about it, one way that I've started thinking about it, I can attract every type of person in the world.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's allowing them in.
Yeah.
So I've had to work on this part. That way I don't allow that in again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain characteristics that I would never allow in my life again.
Right.
And I certainly know what they are. I thought I knew what my boundaries were, but no.
Right.
And I was not good at upholding boundaries at all.
Well, and it's something to be said for too. Don't rush into stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time to get to know a person.
Yeah.
I've told people time and time again, y'all haven't even been in a relationship for 6 months.
Yeah.
You don't even know who they are yet.
Yeah. Oh.
And then two, see them in a whole bunch of different environments. Are they mean to the wait staff? See how do they act around their family? How they react around your family? See them in as many different environments as you possibly can to get to know them. Like, take your time.
Yeah, taking your time is the most absolute, because in all of those situations, they passed with flying colors.
Right.
Because I was looking for those things, stopping to help someone on the side of the road but that came from a previous encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was enamored with that. Like,
Well,
oh my gosh, they did that, and that makes them
right.
so special and good. And
But that's something that really chapped my hide about mine is, you treat a dog on the street better than you treat me.
yes,
You treat strangers better than you treat me.
yeah, and that then I started seeing a pattern like that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what started like, oh, that's
Yeah.
what kind of started the process, because thankfully I see patterns.
Right.
And I started seeing patterns, but then I went inside, and I'm an overthinker. And what do they say about overthinkers is, if they've decided on you, they've gone through every scenario possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. I went through every scenario, and then when I would want to talk about it, then it would be like, oh, you're so emotional, or why would you even bring that up, or I don't like where this direction's going, or all of these things that you're just like, oh, shit. Okay, sorry, I won't bring it up again. Or,
Right.
oh, I must have misunderstood. No, like,
Yeah.
oh,
And us overthinkers, we're thinking with our trigger brain.
oh my gosh.
Too.
Well, not so much now, because I don't
Right.
have that
in
trigger,
the relationship.
thankfully, but
Right.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll talk about the healed part of it later, because
Right.
I'll also share some of my stuff there.
Yeah. And that's an important part of it. Learn your triggers.
Yeah.
And heal your triggers. Because once you heal the triggers, people can't push those buttons.
Exactly.
They can't get to you and get you emotional like that.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
It is, well, until they kick it up.
Well, yeah, but after the fact,
Yeah.
because I've had kids with
Yeah.
so we're still sort of in each other's lives, kind of,
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
and so when one of them wants to get to me, they will try a tactic that used to work,
Yeah.
and then I'm just like, okay, and they're just befuddled
Yeah.
that they didn't upset me,
Yeah.
and inside I'm like, healed it,
Yes.
healed it.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never have that. Anything like that, like, because that part of me is, well, I don't want to say that part of me is dead, but like that part of my life is dead to me. So
Right.
I don't have to.
Deal with the exes
No.
like I do.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yay.
Okay.
5 steps to heal the trauma bond. So we know what it is to be in it.
Yeah.
We know what it is, what we need to do to break it.
Yeah.
Now let's see how to heal it.
Okay.
No contact.
Yep. And block.
Yep. Close all channels.
And I can tell you that has been the best decision that I ever made. And I've as I'm healing, and the thought has rolled around in my head many a times, what if I were to talk to them again, or what if I were to open that channel? And I look at myself and I'm like, why would you want to open that channel?
Right.
Like, closure? What am I going to close? Because that person at the time never took accountability for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the person that gave up the whatever. But
People do get really hung up on the closure.
yeah, but the thing about it is, I'm being an overthinker.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through scenario after scenario in my mind, and the best case scenario that I found for me was, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I learned my lesson. I appreciate the journey because of where I'm at today.
Right.
So I can look back on it neutrally. Although some of these things that came up brought things to the surface. But like the other day, I was sitting in my backyard and a song came on the radio, and it was the very first song. And I was talking to my daughter on the phone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this song. And then I'm like, oh, that's why I know this song. And 10 seconds later, I was, we were talking about a topic or whatever. And then a little bit later on, it dawned on me that I just skipped right over that part of reminiscing or going back to thoughts or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's what healing feels like.
Yeah.
Because it's a good song. I like the song, but that's all it is now, is a song.
Yeah, it doesn't have that emotional connection
Yeah,
anymore.
no. And it was a pretty deep song when but
Yeah.
I'm good. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. And that going no contact, that's hard.
Yes.
It took me 15 years to finally say, do not call me again. I'm not, and if you do, I'm not answering the phone. I dreaded it. And even when he said, like, if that's what you really want, that's what I'll do. I was like, oh, no, just, because the thought of never talking to them again terrified me.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got the courage to do it. And I'm like, okay, get ready, because you're fixing to have a grieving process. Like,
Yeah.
but it was like, I felt so free and so relieved. There was no grief.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. You like wake up in the morning
if
and
I'd
you're
have
like,
known that, I would have done this 15 years ago.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's scary,
It
but
is. Because
it's
well, I mean,
doable.
you know my situation. I drove across country
Yeah.
with my car full and my dogs, and thankfully my son was open, and so I stay with him, and like I pretty much didn't do much of anything for a couple of months because it was the grieving, and the mind was spinning, and like the couple of messages that came through and how it affected me, and pulling myself back up,
Yeah.
and just knowing that and I'd wake up with songs in my head, like what's that Wilson Phillips songs, Hang On for One More Day.
Mm-hmm.
That would pop into my head when I woke up in the morning, and I did affirmations of gratitude and whatever it took to get me to start healing and
Right.
start realizing and looking at things and overthinking everything, but in a more positive way, because that first morning I woke up and I'm like, whoa, I don't have any responsibilities today.
What do I do now?
Yeah, what I would be doing this and this and this and this was going on and this was going on and that was going on, and holy gosh, what am I going to do with me?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it is hard.
And who is me?
But yeah, that
Because
whoa.
you've changed yourself
Oh my
for them.
gosh.
So now you've got to relearn who you are.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I say is, I was in some kind of a partner type relationship my whole entire adult life, with the exception of about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I've been single longer than I've had my entire life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a whole new ball game.
Yep.
Mm.
That's how I was
But
too.
it's one I'm winning.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2,
Mm-hmm.
feel and heal.
Yeah.
Validate your pain.
Mm-hmm.
Feel your feelings.
Yeah.
Allow it.
Yeah.
That's the hard part for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yes. See,
So-
I've always been a crier, a touchy-feely, like, I'll talk about anything to not
Right.
most anybody, but I mean, like, I will tell people how I feel. And
And see, I'm the opposite, because I love you, but sometimes you're crying and I'm like, I just don't fucking get it. Because I'm the opposite of you in that.
yeah.
So it took me a long time to learn what I was, because this is a whole life thing for me.
Yeah.
So I was so not in touch with my I know I feel bad, I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That was my knowledge of
Yeah.
my emotions.
Yeah.
I had to therapists and classes, and it took a lot of learning.
Yeah.
So you have to, first of all, figure out what you're feeling, if you're like I was,
Yeah.
and then honor it, which sounds really weird. With my therapist, we found out the 3 base emotions I felt my entire life are shame, disgust, and I never can remember the third one. And I'm almost 50 when I find this out. So like my entire life, what I felt, my baseline was shame and disgust.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get defensive and be like, because I've had good times. But no, it was always tainted by that.
Yeah.
Don't have too good of a time. What are people gonna think about you? How are they gonna look at you? How are you gonna make your partner look? So it sounds weird to say honor the feeling of shame and honor the feeling of disgust. But it's doable.
Yeah.
And it's important because it's not good that I felt that.
No.
But for whatever reason, you were there and you helped me through the relationships.
Yeah.
Because thankfully you didn't suffer the physical abuse and stuff. But I have my whole life. So my shame and disgust, unfortunately, are what saved me most of the time
Yeah.
from getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
So for that I do honor you.
It
You
was a
saved
survival. Yeah, it was a survival skill that you utilized when you needed to.
Right.
And yeah, like that's when I talk, that would be like one of my shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And so in becoming more healed and getting in tune with who you are, you have to get in tune with those shadows, those things, those emotions that we have stamped down for so long and forgotten. I mean,
or not even know for some people. Yeah.
Well, at times we've forgotten what it feels like to feel those things.
Right.
Because we tucked them away because they were just too powerful at the time.
Yeah.
So as you go through that healing process, yeah, you have to bring those forward and be like, all right, we need to sit with this.
Yeah, because you can't heal it if you can't acknowledge it.
No. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I've learned too is if it's continuously rolling around, that's a healing needing to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you need to like stop the little mouse wheel and snag it and sit with it and really sit with it.
Right. Well, and you, in going through your old journal.
Yeah. So I'll just read you some little, share with you from my journal of when I did first get here. So one of the things I said was I got to that point that I was so desperate to move on. I made decisions always I thought were right with the least amount of damage or effort. I was already damaged enough. How can we look at this in a more positive way? So that was one of the things that I had written when I got here. And then as I'm healing, I go back to, I always had to make the decisions, but instead of I'm already damaged, I had already endured enough. And that's where we come to, how can we look at this in a more positive way? Well, and I wrote down learning, and we just did. So, that like the mindset that changes as we go through the healing process and really break it down. And I had to go back and feel like, why did I feel like I always had to do everything to the extreme, but with the least amount of damage possible.
Mm-hmm.
And inevitably in my unhealed toxic brain, you always made the wrong decision, or you could have done it this way, or you could have done it that way. And that goes back to, that's a trigger that goes back to earlier in my life when I had somebody constantly ask me that regularly. What did you do it that way for? What were you thinking? That's not how I would have done it. And so that's an example of bringing forth something into the baggage, into a relationship, and they triggered that, and that's not healed. So then you go into a tailspin.
Right.
And that's and as you're healing though, like as I've been healing, the tailspins are a lot smaller, like shorter, and I'm catching things a lot more quickly. Like that song. Oh, hey. In less than a minute I realized, I didn't react to that. yay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know where that went.
Oh, that's okay. Well, and mine too.
I love you.
You know what's funny is one of the exes that was really bad. He would be like, "Why don't you get a boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Why would I do that? Why would I do that to them?"
Oh,
And then they're like, "Well, why are you talking to that guy? I thought you didn't like that guy." I'm like, "I don't. I'm not going to talk to somebody I like,
yeah,
because red flag, you like me, so something's wrong with you."
yeah,
It's like I had this horrible opinion of myself,
yeah,
and I'm going to save the people I actually like the damage that is me.
mm-hmm.
And so I would only talk to guys. I'm like, I don't care, because
Yeah,
I don't care.
yeah. You're not gonna be around long enough for me to damage.
Right. Right.
And that was still for me a trigger when they looked at me dead in the face and said, "You go do this to someone else." Okay, there's the validation that I'm the problem.
Right.
And the thing was, in a vulnerable moment, I made a comment in that topic about something from my past.
Mm.
So again, vulnerable moment,
Right.
and then they choose just the right moment to throw it back at you.
Yep.
And you're like,
Because they know it's. Yep.
okay.
You know what I never figured out? Those ones that an argument about anything,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's like, well, let's see if you can do better. Because
Oh.
nobody's going to want you.
Yeah.
Like, you've got kids. Nobody's going to want someone with kids. Or
Mhm.
you're fat. No one's going to want somebody that's fat.
Yeah.
Why do you think putting me down is going to make me want to stay? It always did.
Yeah.
But why is that a thing? To make me feel so little about myself. And that's because mama did it. Like, my husbands have done it.
Your whole life.
Like, yeah. That brought me to that point. I'm in my 40s thinking, I'm not going to talk to that guy. I like him. Why would I do that to him?
Yeah.
Because I'm this worthless POS that's
Yeah.
can't do nothing. So why would I put that on them?
Yeah.
I healed it. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we need to transition our feelings via perception change. And that's we kind of worked our way into that.
Yeah.
Just like you with, I'm damaged enough
Mm-hmm.
to I've endured
Endured.
enough.
Yeah.
And it's rephrasing our perceptions of our feelings.
Yeah. And so my biggest thing is looking at it from a different perspective. Sometimes people look at it from an outside perspective, but like for me, and being an empath, part of the healing for me was an understanding of the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yours or theirs?
their behavior and my behavior.
Okay.
But not so like, just bear with me because
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
I'm listening.
So understanding and actually feeling empathy for their situation, understanding it's their journey, but my boundaries that I have are, I wish them well. I understand, I get it. I'm healing. You chose not to.
Right now, from
in
your
my
healed
healed
state.
standpoint, you chose not to, and that was part of that meditation I went to and found, the key moment, and said, where did that person go? That person chose not to stay and bring in this other person. So it's like, I have an understanding, but I'm not willing to let that boundary go of staying no contact. Like,
Right.
that part is dead. I'm good.
Right.
I truly wish you the best.
Mm.
And I feel gratitude for coming as far as I have
Mm-hmm.
and being forced to do that.
Right. And what people have to be very careful of is in doing that, because I had to restart contact with my ex because something that was happening with our child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I felt it was the right, I needed to let him know what was going on
Right.
with our child, because they're no contact also.
Yeah.
So it would have been really very easy, because when you do, for whatever reason, restart contact
Mm-hmm.
through your choice, or oh shit, we ran into each other at the store,
Yeah.
that very first point of contact, you're gonna get the good them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're gonna get the them you fell in love with.
Yeah.
The love bombing,
Yeah.
the
Be on my best behavior.
right. And it's so easy to get sucked back. There he is. Oh, there's the one I've missed all this time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dangerous
Yeah. If you're
to
not.
recontact if
Yeah.
you haven't at least started your healing.
Yeah. 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 And that's, I've started my healing. I have a ways to go yet, though. I mean, like, I still have days. I have many, many more wonderful days
Mhm.
than I do not so wonderful days. But I know they're always going to be there. So
Right.
it's, yeah.
Well, and two, I don't feel like we're going to be healing forever like some
No.
people do. Because I do feel like there are things I have healed.
Yeah.
That's done and dusted.
Yes.
But I feel like forever, there are going to be things that pop up that I didn't realize I needed to heal, because oh crap, there's another one,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what the next step is, we need to identify our inner patterns that attracted and allowed this into our life.
Yep.
And heal those.
Yeah.
Which we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
Because I can attract every kind of human there is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that allows them in.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be worked on.
Yeah. What I'm gonna give as well.
Right.
I mean, if I let you in, then it's gonna be very minimal.
Right.
Until I know that you might be safe.
Yeah, because we're going to take a lot longer to get to know each other before I open my heart to you.
I'm not in any kind of hurry.
Right.
I'm good with me and
Absolutely.
what I'm doing, and yeah.
Yeah, but we need to make a strong intention to change those patterns.
Yeah.
And so what you do is, if you know you're open to abuse, which we have been,
Yeah.
then I know that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So now I need to work on creating strong boundaries around abuse.
Yep.
If you are a people pleaser, a lot of us are,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to focus on healing that part and becoming interdependent rather than codependent.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be just in romantic relationships.
Right.
Because we're working on that in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a codependent friend.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? So even
Right.
in our friendship, I'm able to work on and heal that.
Yeah.
Yep. So why do you still miss them? Sometimes you do.
I know.
It's because your body is addicted to that cycle. The highs are the attention, the crashes are the fights. I can't remember which psychiatrist it was, which study it was. Girl, I took so many psychology classes in school. But okay. You've got dogs. You're a dog person.
You know it.
Not a dog person. But what will keep your dog trained longer? always giving them the treat after the thing, or sometimes giving them the treat after the thing.
Oh, of course, sometimes.
Right, because they're not going to stop the first time they don't get it. Like if you always give it to them and then they don't get it, screw you.
Yeah.
I want my treat.
Yeah.
But if they're always wondering, oh, the next time will be the time I get the treat, that's how you train a dog.
Yeah.
I am not calling us dogs.
No.
That is intermittent, what is it? Reinforcement.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you blow up over a situation and sometimes you don't.
right. And when I act this way, you treat me not. You treat me well. This is how I get the good you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how they, for lack of a better word, train us. So we keep trying because the next time will be the right one.
Yeah.
And our bodies become addicted to that. Our brains become addicted to that because it's well known now through all of the wonderful research that's been done about childhood trauma. It literally changes our brains.
Yeah.
And so, especially if you're raised in a traumatic, narcissistic family.
With cult beliefs.
Yeah. It's hard to break those patterns. And then even when you do break those patterns, I caught myself the other day after complaining about them, thinking about my first husband. We got divorced like 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been horrible ever since. But this one thing made me think of this one time.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, what would have happened if that would have worked out?
Yep. Absolutely.
What?
I know, right?
What?
The fuck?
Exactly. So it's still kind of, you are going to, even 35 years later, have those moments.
Yeah.
I didn't beat myself up over it.
No.
Because I think, there were good times there too.
Yeah.
He's the father of my girls. And so I can't find the right word. Not honor. He doesn't get grace. I don't know what he gets for helping me create my children. Whatever that is. Honor, I guess. Yeah. Like without him, my girls wouldn't be here.
Right.
So I still have like that love for him.
Yeah.
I don't want anything bad to happen to him because it would hurt my girls.
Yeah.
So I won't wish his death anymore. I won't,
Yeah.
any spells on him or anything. But I do have that love for him.
Yeah.
And he was like my first love and well, my first trauma bond. But I'm not going to beat myself up for thinking about him.
Right.
Even all this time later.
Yeah.
So I can honor that memory. That was a wonderful memory.
Yep.
Now let it go.
Exactly. I agree because I've done that myself. And not just with this last
With all of them.
lesson, but with all of them.
Because imagine if you could take the good parts of all of your relationships, you'd have a perfect guy. But it doesn't work that way. So,
And be careful with spells.
yeah, I don't do spells. I was just saying that.
I'm telling them.
Oh yeah, I did
know
used
we're
to. Girl, I laid in bed and prayed for their death. I read the Anarchist Cookbook. I know a couple ways to kill somebody without anybody knowing.
Yeah, well, I got accused of that kind of shit, and I'm like, honey, if I was gonna do that, you wouldn't be here worried about
Right?
it.
Yeah. I stopped.
It's all good.
Stopped wishing death a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't mean it.
What-
Like I want y'all to go heal and keep my name out your mouth.
That's right.
35 years later, there's no reason to be mentioning me.
No.
Anyways, the moment you stop apologizing for being hurt is the moment you start healing. Don't shrink your voice to preserve their ego.
Nope.
And these relationships, there's a lot of projection from that side. So I'm not going to say it's a guarantee, but if you're with somebody that's constantly accusing you of cheating on them, even though you got your head so far up their butt you haven't been able to breathe for years,
Yeah.
probably they're projecting. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And they can be so convincing that that's not the case.
Oh, absolutely.
Or blame you for it.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Oh, yeah. So how do you know if they're going to change or at least try to change?
Let's find out.
Let us.
I'm not really sure about how to. So, okay, yeah. Are they taking accountable steps?
Actionable.
Actionable. Because I'm thinking all accountability here. But
Right.
actionable steps without you pushing them. Are they owning their own crap or still blaming others? And are they being consistent?
Mm-hmm.
Like cycles, cycle after cycle after cycle.
Right.
I, realize the error of my ways. And
Well-
this isn't in other related. I realize the error and I'll do better.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do better. And then not.
Right.
It could be a couple days, a couple weeks maybe.
Right.
But then, boop, it's gone. So, after the first couple of times, now it would be like, how many times am I going to let this happen before I bounce?
Right. And apology without changed behavior is manipulation.
Yeah.
But what we have to remember too is like, I sound very bashy because I've literally lived with this since I was born.
Yeah.
But these people aren't the way they are just to be dicks. Like they
Right.
are damaged
Good.
people.
Yeah.
Like they
I'm
need to
saying not
heal.
goods, but yeah, people.
Now, some of them want to,
Yep.
but some of them don't.
No.
Because I know a relationship, he's not trying,
Mm-mm.
not at all, or it'll be good for a week and it's right back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Like that one person, so trauma bonded. The other one, it's like, I don't know, do I give a chance? Do I do this? Do I do this? And my thing is, he's trying. You finally got through to him. Like he's finally consistently trying. Like, don't give up yet. Like he finally got it. He's doing it. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. Do what you want. It's your life.
Yeah.
But he's finally trying, and that's huge.
Yeah.
So some of them do want to change, and they do try. And it's not, are they only doing the change because you're on them all the time about it?
Right.
Or are they, oh, I want to do this, so I'm going to consistently work on this on my own.
Yeah. And then what happens is, and I had this happen a couple of times, you need to get some help.
Definitely.
So make the appointments. I'm not your mom. You do you, and
Mhm.
you make the appointments. Because one, if you're not going to even do that, then I know that this is,
Right.
But okay, so go do that, and then go to a couple appointments, and then make excuses on why you aren't going anymore.
Right.
So again, with trying, and that's good, but
Is that
I'm not
consistent?
gonna push. Yeah, I'm not your mama. I'm not gonna make the appointment for you. I'm not gonna do this. You do it on your own, and you do it, and then great, we'll talk about it. But you're showing me the consistency of not being consistent.
Right. You
On
are
a lot of-
consistently, inconsistent.
Yeah, and so yeah. All right.
Yeah, we have reached the end of my notes.
Okay. Well, let's do. We got quite a bit going on up there.
We do.
So that's good though.
And here's what I was thinking we were discussing. Now, if this is a topic that you're interested in and you'd like to learn more about, we can slow down
Yeah.
and go through each of these things in more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. Give more examples of, like I said, each one that you mentioned, I had that example popped right into my head from, remembering.
So that's up to y'all. Y'all have to let us know. And if you don't, then we're just going to move on to the next thing, whatever that may
We'll
be.
come up with that topic this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, if you have something that you would like to discuss,
Yes.
let us know.
Comments.
Absolutely. And
or,
then,
you know what I was thinking about earlier?
what's up?
You know, so we talked before about, you know, healing in a safe place and in a not safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the support system.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some people out there that don't have that support system.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought if they reach out, you know, we can reach out back and
Definitely.
offer our, you know, personal experiences or just an ear to talk to. I'm getting really good at Zoom, so we could even do a Zoom call or, you know, a video.
You definitely
so
could
that,
do that.
Yeah, that, you know, if people have, like, we want you to ask questions, but, you know, if you're having a real tough time and you want to reach out,
Yeah, we're here.
we're available. I mean, I you know, I wouldn't do it while I was working or, you know,
Right.
but we would certainly make the time to contact you and you know,
Yep.
answer questions or
Yep.
just like I said, lend an ear, give you validation that what you're going through is
Valid.
what, you know, if your emotions are valid. So yeah, and you can contact us through our YouTube channel or Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Messenger, so it's private. Nobody knows your business. And between the two of us, there's not an experience
Pretty
that
much.
hasn't been experienced.
Yeah.
So you don't have to feel embarrassed
Oh yeah.
or ashamed.
No.
Like one of us has been through it.
There ain't no
so
shame
we'll
in
understand.
that game.
Right.
So yeah, and you know, we're genuine. We're
Yeah.
not gonna, you know, spread your business out. We'll spread our
No,
business out
yeah.
all day long, but we ain't
Right.
gonna spread nobody else's business out. So
But I'm pretty proud of myself. I haven't named a single one of the men I was talking about.
I know, right?
Well, if they see it, they'll know who they are. But
I don't know.
you
That's
know,
kind of the bummer part of it, because I would just rather not even deal with that. But it happens.
my
We're-
thing is, and I've said this for years, if you don't want to sound like the villain in my story,
Mm-hmm.
stop doing bad things.
Yeah.
Because once something is done to me,
Yep.
that's now my story.
Yeah.
And I can tell my story to whoever I want to.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to look bad in my story, don't do bad stuff.
Yeah. Don't be the villain, or just don't look at me anymore. Don't.
Yeah,
Stay out of my business.
yeah.
So yeah.
But-
All right. So with that said, we'll wrap it up for this week, and we appreciate you guys, and thank you for all the likes and shares, and
All the good stuff.
come on, follow.
Yeah.
So all right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.